Hello, fellow stampers. This is Yana Smakula for My Favorite Things. Welcome back for another video tutorial. In this video, we're making a really fun action wobble Christmas card with the My Favorite Things Winter Songbird stamp set. I started working on my card by stamping every single image from this stamp set onto white cardstock. My idea for this card was to use the beautiful greenery to create a Christmas tree shape. The greenery in this set is quite unique. It is beautifully designed, and I particularly love the curves of the branches. And that got me thinking that I could use those images to build myself a custom Christmas tree. I think it is always so much fun to use the images in a different way, not in the way they were intended. I also stamped every single bird from this stamp set, although I used just 3 birds for my card. I wanted to place several birds onto that Christmas tree to have it look like as if the birds are sitting in the tree and singing and wishing a recipient a jolly holly season. I used Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I stamped images onto Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock and also used my Mini Misty stamping tool for my stamping. Some of the greenery images were stamped twice, and I've found that having 9 or 10 greenery pieces was quite sufficient to build my Christmas tree for an A2 card. If you're making a larger card, you might need more pieces. Now, the most time-consuming part of this process was coloring, but I love to color, so I didn't really mind. Instead, I quite enjoyed it. I used my go-to Copic marker color combinations as I'm not the one to reinvent the wheel. I like to stick to the things that I already know in terms of color combinations. And the colors I used are G21, YG63, and G94 to color all of the leaves green. Next, I used E31, E33, and E37 to color the acorns. You would not really see acorns on a Christmas tree, but I am one to try non-conventional things in that regard, so I didn't mind. In fact, I might even try acorn ornaments on an actual Christmas tree one day, if I find them, of course. I also used R20, R22, R24, and R39 markers to color my birds and berries, and also a W1 marker to add shading to any white areas on the birds, and YR15 to color their beaks. As for their outfits, I wanted to try something new, and I was in the mood for pink, so I colored them pink using RV34, RV11, and RV00 markers. The coloring isn't really the highlight on this card, so I kept my coloring rather basic by doing simple 3-shade blends, going from dark to medium to light, or vice versa. I also used a white Sakura pen quite a lot to fix any marker bleeding, as that did happen a bit here. Now, these images have very thin, very fine lines to them, and so it is very easy for the marker to bleed. At least it's easy for me when I color. In the past, I used to stretch so much about my coloring bleeding, but I've since gotten myself a set of these white pens, and I no longer stress. I just use a white pen to color over any bleeding that I have on the card, and it works like a charm. So here's a look at all of my coloring. I love the bright and cheerful colors that I used. Next, I used coordinating dies, and I cut these images out using my die cutting machine. I did that off camera to save time. You guys don't need to watch me die cut these images out. I have prepared a panel of dark green cardstock from my stash. I love this particular color. Now, I'm a big fan of dark backgrounds, and usually you'd see me use a dark blue, but lately I've been drawn to this dark green as well. Now, what you see me do now is use the die-cut greenery shapes to make a custom Christmas tree shape for my card. It's very easy to do. You basically arrange the die-cuts in the form of a pointy triangle. You can layer the shapes if you feel like you don't have enough, and that's how you make a custom Christmas tree shape. It doesn't get easier than that. Now, plus the benefit to doing it this way, to using these particular greenery pieces, is that the tree is all dressed up. Get this, you not only have the greenery itself, but you also already have the little berries, the acorns, the flowers. So the tree is all decked out. How cool is that, right? Next, we need to adhere this to the card, and the easiest way to do this is to use a product called Press and Seal. Now, I do not have any press and seal, so I use an alternative, wide, low-tack tape. I place a piece of washi tape over my tree and tack the pieces together. I'm not pressing too hard. I will need to be able to remove this tape later, so pressing just lightly, making sure that I have every piece connected or adhered temporarily to the tape, and this allows me to move my tree, flip it to the back, and add foam adhesive from the back. You can use glue if you prefer your cards on the flatter side. I actually quite like my cards dimensional, so I use foam adhesive. I add a small foam adhesive square to the back. I also cut my squares into smaller strips so that all of the little tree branches will be adhered securely onto my panel. With this done, I remove the backing from the foam squares and foam mount my custom Christmas tree onto the background. Now I can carefully peel the washi tape. I'm going very slowly. I don't want to accidentally tear the stamping on my tree. I can fuss a little bit if needed, maybe add an additional greenery piece, an additional branch if I want, and that completes the tree shape for this card. Next comes the most exciting part of this video and this card making process. I've picked the birds that I wanted sitting on my tree, and instead of using foam adhesive to just pop them up, I'm going to use these mini action wobbles. It's been ages since I've used them last. I bought this whole pack of mini wobbles a long time ago, and then I just forgot about them until recently. I was cleaning out a drawer in my craft room, and then I found them, and I remembered all the fun that I used to have when using these fun wobbles or wobblers for my projects. So remember to clean out your drawers from time to time. You might find some fun, crafty items or tools or something that you forgot all about. So initially I picked 3 wobblers as I wanted all 3 birds to wobble on my card, but I ended up using just 2 for the 2 bottom birds, for the bigger birds. The top bird was a little bit too small and the wobbler would have been visible from underneath. So I just used foam adhesive squares to pop that last one up. But seriously, aren't these tons of fun? I love how they add so much character to this otherwise very simple card because, honestly, it's a simple project. Now I have already trimmed my panel to 4 by 5¼ inches. I stamped a sentiment and I cut it out using a banner die. I foam mounted the sentiment under my tree. And next, I foam mounted my panel onto an A2 card base. I did something different for this card, and instead of using a white card base, I used black. Now, whenever I use a black card base, I get questions about writing a message on the inside of the card. Well, the answer is very simple. You have 2 options. You can add a white cardstock panel to the inside of the black card and just use your regular pen. Or get yourself a white pen. If you color with Copics, a white pen is a must-have. And then you can use that white pen to write your message with. Or you can also get specialty glitter pens. Glitter pens also work really well on dark cardstock. I added a few more fun details to this card by adhering clear droplets next to the tree and onto some of the ornaments. I got this idea from my Christmas tree this year. I bought clear ornaments, like really nice, big glass clear ornaments, and they look fantastic. They add air to the tree in our living room, and I thought that they would work just as well on this card. So I used little clear droplets, and I just adhered them here and there onto the tree. I also used a white pen and added a couple of white dots next to the tree and in any of the gaps between the greenery, forming that tree. So that's my funny action wobble Christmas card for you, made with the My Favorite Things Winter Songbird stamp set. I had a blast making this card, and I hope you picked up a few tips and tricks in my video and will give this action wobble idea a go yourself. If you do, you know the drill. Please share online and tag us on social media. We always love seeing what you guys are making. Subscribe now and do hit that bell icon not to miss any new card making tutorials. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Until next time.